Hi. So I kind of wanted to do two things today. I don't know why, but I'm feeling very elemental today, like elements. And I was like, I have the elements in the elemental oracle, and I have the elements in the mystical shaman oracles. Now we're breaking. I've used the mystical shaman a few times now. Um, so I kind of wanted to do that. I think I'm just gonna get like 1 to 3 elemental oracle cards, and then pull before and after water, fire, earth, and wind, because I don't think there's an air. And the mystical shaman oracle card deck. And then, excuse me, I kind of wanted to do a past, present, and future, pulling before and after the Six of Cups for the past, the Three of Wands for the future, and then the Six of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords for the present. The Six of Pentacles, I was trying to think of a present card. I like the Eight of Swords for the present, as like present things or present influences that we may not necessarily be aware of. But then for conscious ones, or I do like the Seven of Pentacles, but I also kind of wanted them to be in different suits. So 3 wands, 6 cups, 8 swords. So I do need, yeah, and the Seven of Pentacles. I can do that, or the six. That would be all three of them. Seven of Pentacles, because it's like cultivating. It's like things happening now for the future. And then something about the balance and reciprocity of the Six of Pentacles felt like a now energy, like sitting in between the past and the future. Um, I feel like it may be a little much to do it all together, but yeah, so that's my plan for today. As a side note, the weekend was fairly quiet. There were maybe like updates to some things, if update is a word that I would want to use, to previous Pisces season surprises. But the weekend was quiet. Today is Wednesday. So the past few days have been quiet. Maybe there was one. No, I don't think so. Sunday and Monday, I allowed myself to rest. Yesterday, I allowed myself to rest. I got home from work and I was like, I don't feel like playing games. I don't feel like really. I want to get in my bed and pre-game sleep. So that's what I did. But it feels like things were relatively quiet for the Pisces season shock surprise of all Pisces seasons. Well, okay, maybe not of all Pisces season shocks and surprises. It was so like Uranus and whatever. So I have a surprise 2-week vacation. And I'm like, man, I wish I knew about it, because then I could have planned something. So I may be questionably financially responsible and go see my buddy in London for, I want to go for at least, well, I guess, because I looked at tickets and I guess I could have went for like 8 days, but with like 14 weeks. Wait, because then I wouldn't be coming back until Tuesday. So I could manage like 2 weeks almost. I wanted at least like 12 days. I feel like the last time I've seen them, things have gone so well that like now I miss my best friend. I'm like, wow. So I'm putting it out into the atmosphere. I want to do something with this 2 weeks though. I don't want to just, like, I love the space that I've cultivated, but I think that's another thing too. Like last night, I don't know if I feel like it could be a confluence of things, honestly. Of so many things happening in Pisces. I don't know if the sun, yeah, the sun would have conjuncted Saturn already because Saturn is still pretty early in Pisces. I don't know if it's sun like moving on to Neptune or if it's just this like, excuse me, stellium type presence where it's like, or if it's like Mars that is starting to push on Pisces. But last night I was like, yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna like I'm gonna shake some things up. I'm gonna start some things tomorrow. And now this happened, and I didn't nobody. Everybody was shook in the most pleasant of ways. Like no one expected this. And I guess for me personally, it validated the line of thinking that I've been following recently about all the reasons why I'd like it's almost like because again, like when I was very, very, very young, there were reasons why I wanted to work where I work now. And so it's almost like in the time of my life where there was truth, it's something that I desired. And then in the time of my life that was very like discolored and gray, and which was about comfort zones and convenience. Like if someone asks me what I want to do, this is what I'll say. And then it came time to go to university, and I was like, well, that's a university where I can do it. And it's not that I didn't want to do it, and it's not that I regret any of it, because ultimately I'm still very glad I took that path. um, but it's releasing the attachment to the like comfort zone convenience of what I said I wanted. And again, like if that were to be my path, I'm sure I would still be fulfilled because it's work that I would find fulfilling. Um, but I was like, for all of what I wanted my path and my journey professionally and career wise to be, where I'm at offers pretty much everything I want within the same body. Plus, there are so many things that, like, things that I would love to do that I wasn't aware of before. Things that, like, it's like it fulfills me in, I guess, many ways. And some of those ways, including, like, the impacts on, like, communities in the world and stuff. Well, we'll see. But it's designed and set up in a way to be, like, positively impactful. And I'm like, I'm all for that. And then, like, the announcement today, just like the way that today played out, affirms for me, like, I made the right choice because of how they've been handling stuff. And I'm like, okay, all right, you know? But at the same time, now I'm like, maybe I'll do something like that. Um, it's interesting because career advancement at the company that I work for is very much so marketed as like self-driven. Now, I feel like I'm a lot more motivated and I have a lot more momentum in me, or I'm capable of more movement and momentum and decisiveness and stuff like that than I would have necessarily given myself credit for in the past. I mean, it probably also didn't help that I didn't want to do anything and I actively refused most things that required any kind of movement, honestly. But now I'm like, I kind of want to like, it's just like it's that time to start looking at and considering what I want to do. Almost like this holding pattern or this holding phase is like ending. Um, and it's just time to start considering things. So, anyway, that was today. And I sent a message to my friend. I'm like, hey, I might be there Sunday. Oh, I'll be there for like 10 days. Get ready. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's just interesting times. And I feel like also like, I don't know. I I have so much appreciation for my space and the energy of my space and the vibe of my space. I have so much appreciation for the peace that I find and feel, and I value it so much. Um, and I don't know, it's just like I feel like completion in the spiral. Love it. You know that spiral that we're always in? Done. Completed. Um, Out of the spiral. That was one of the last cards, the sorcerer. That was one of the last cards that came out in the Diceology, the Leaf Cotton and Eddy. Bottom of the deck is the Rainmaker. It was the Rainmaker that came out and the Thunder that was at the bottom of the deck. But we have the Sorcerer and the Moon. Because the Moon controls tides and water, because of tides. This is almost, I feel like this is almost like getting into the science of magic a little bit. And I feel like that energy's come up. Almost like the why before the how. How sometimes it feels like, or I can read it in a way, and then there's the crow at the cut with the sorcerer. I can read it in a way where the Rainmaker knows what to do in order to make it rain, but she may not necessarily know like why it works. It could be like a when I do this, that happens. The sorcerer, I guess, is the only magic user here. So it's not like there's like a wizard slash witch and a sorcerer. Sorcerer, through connotation, for me, is a little more studied and is very like scientific. And so it would know the how. And then with the moon being there, the moon being our closest celestial body that has an effect on the tides of the earth. I saw an article yesterday. I forget how I came upon it. I probably just like on my phone, I slid to the right and just like looked at articles that pop up. And it said that Mars actually has a 2.4 million year cyclic effect on like our oceans, like deep oceans. I was like, wait. Um, so I guess that would be another body that's fairly close that apparently has an effect on the water. But it's interesting that it has, and then it talked about the gravitational fields of other planetary bodies and how, depending on orbits, they can, I forget what the term they used was, but they can make an orbit like more or less elliptical, depending on, I guess, attractive or I don't know if gravitational forces are repulsive. But it's like when they're closer, then they can feel the gravity of each other. But again, it was interesting that the gravity of Mars affects Earth on such a deep level because the moon affects the tides, but the tide is what we see that like washes up on shore and stuff, right? Or it's like how full, maybe not how full something is. But like again, for Mars to affect it on such a deep level, and for that to come out right again as Mars is on the door of Pisces, it was interesting to say the least. Why did I bring that up? Oh, because the sorcerer and the moon. So it's almost like because of the knowledge of the sorcerer, I don't know if the sorcerer would know. It's almost giving me the energy of what's a trickster? Not like a liar. It's giving me the energy of someone that has a knowledge and information that someone else does not have. But it feels like it preys on superstition. And there is a specific context in history that is coming to my mind that I don't necessarily care to use. So I'll use TV shows. I'm pretty sure in Avatar The Last Airbender, I think it was that show. One of the characters knew that it was going to rain because of like the clouds or something. And nobody else knew it was going to rain. And he was like, well, if it rains on this day, then that means whatever. He knew it was going to rain. That was no prophetic, whatever. The signs were there. And I know a whole lunar eclipse is on the 25th. Something else is on the 25th. Somebody mentioned it yesterday at work, and I was like, oh, that's the day of the lunar eclipse. There was, I'm pretty sure historically, someone who was seeking hospitality and they weren't finding it. And they were like, oh, they basically like cursed the locals and they were like, oh, whoa, if you don't, then face the wrath of this blood red moon. And then it was the time for a lunar eclipse. And so, of course, the lunar eclipse happened. Okay. Um, I remembered Alora yesterday. Alora, the happy thief, joyous thief, jolly thief. I don't know. I don't remember. Because before I went live, I was thinking about it. I was like, what else could she have been? Because she, again, there was Alora, and then there was the experiments, the vile duplications of Irenicus, and then there was Risa Rael or whatever, and it was like Alora maybe biting off a little more than she could chew, um, and that I don't know if that necessarily just being a time of like, or being cognizant and aware of, especially for like the bleeding heart, compassionate, maybe empathetic empath person, to see someone in a certain situation or to know that is in a position of need. There's also like a, a caution to beware of whether or not like we have the capacity to give or to give what is needed. You know what I mean? And so it is almost like a biting off more than you can chew. Um, or it could be. It's like there could be forces at play. There could be things playing out for whatever reason beyond Alora's knowing. And so just to exercise wisdom when it comes to being that happy helper. Um, that's one additional way I could see to read it. Like I just thought about it because I was like, I feel like I didn't talk about her much. But anyway, so it's almost like the sorcerer and the moon for some, oh, because it's the moon and the sorcerer and the that scientific knowledge. Like if you know that it's going to be a full moon and during the full moon the tide is going to behave differently than it would on, or like a super moon, because super moons are closer to the earth. If you know that, like, because almanacs, like Farmer's Almanac, what's the other one? Astrological ephemerises. Like people have been observing the planets and the stars for quite some time, and the movements aren't extremely random. But again, to like have that knowing and then to use it in a way to make oneself appear to be more grand or powerful or whatever than one is for the purpose of convincing someone else to do something. Um, just like at least medium move energy. So yeah. And then it's like, oh look, Six of Wands in the Fool. Love that energy. Love that. Congratulations, you won. You oh no, but those were spam. Y'all remember the spam pop-ups in the 90s? Congratulations, you won. And then like a million windows would pop up. Okay. Who was that? Oh, the tower. Of course, it's the tower. The tower with the Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck. This is the third time we see these two together. First, the Queen of Swords was in reverse when the tower came out in the Diablo Tarot when I was reading Venus conjunct Pisces. Venus conjunct Pluto, sorry. And before or as Venus entered her conversation with Pluto, there was something that her intuition was telling her, like, do this. And her discernment was kicking in some way to get her to like at least second guess something. And that was for good reason, because when Venus leaves Pluto, it was tower energy. And Venus had neglected if Venus had neglected her intuition or failed to heed her discernment, it's very possible that she could have got wrapped up in something that tower energy was already coming for. And so when she left, Queen of Swords was in reverse, the tower was upright. And it was like, because she didn't pick up her sword and go and do whatever, she will be spared. Because the only ones that had, like, every angel came out with the sword, except for Michael. Michael was there and without sword. But we saw the flaming sword at least once, I think twice. And there were like 3 angels. Everyone had a sword. I was like, oh, that's why she doesn't race. Because then it's almost like um, one of those things where maybe it's like it's so quick or so swift. Now, divine justice makes no mistake in the same way that not divine justice would. Or it could be easy to mistake something like, oh, but like, you were also holding a sword. And so you weren't one of us. So there was a lot going on at once. You kind of just got, anyway. But we've seen these two. That was the first time we saw them. And then we saw the Scarlet Shield upright with the demon upright and the SKT. And that was an energy of like the Scarlet Shield is going to fight devil energy. But that wasn't the tower. I think the tower might have also come out. And I can't remember if that gave me Ten of Swords energy. I think it did. The Ten of Swords being the destroyer, but from the Revelations, the vessel being purified to welcome divine gifts. Now, this tower and this Queen of Swords, like when I look at it, this is how I see it. Where she's like looking at the tower, like she's allowing something to happen. Or at the very least, she's not stopping it. Queen of Swords is minor justice. And then I open the deck to justice. I open the deck to put this card back, to put the tower back and keep shuffling it. I open it to justice. Queen of Swords is minor justice, and this is major arcana tower card. This is like the Queen of Swords would have no jurisdiction. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't preside over divine court. It's out of her hands. And then there's the Five of Pentacles. So yeah, maybe that going a little bit back to Allura and just like recognizing that what we have the capacity to help with, what we have the capacity to give, and where we have, where we kind of sort of have to, at the very least, let things play out for whatever purpose and for whatever reason. So cool. Am I going to timestamp this? Sure. But my thing is all the way over there. I'm going to timestamp it on my phone. I'm going to create a note on my phone. I have so many notes. I need to just like use the same note or just like mass delete them. A lot of these I'm not going to come back to. So I'll say 2430 is the ketchup. Well, the mustard is at 00. The ketchup is at I don't know. Anyway, I tried to make a condiment pun. I was eating a burger. Ketchup and mayo actually Vision Quest. Ketchup and mayo actually taste pretty good together on burgers. I've never had the courage to put them together outside of a burger. The drum and the Vision Quest. The drum is an instrument of healing. There we go. The drum is an instrument of healing given by the Thunderbird, Joaquin, in the Lakota Dene tellings. It was actually the playing of the drum that attracted the attention of Joaquin, the Thunderbird, and then she blessed the drums. So I'll have to see if I can find the video to link it in the description box. From what I remember of the story, there was a bear. So the Wakinyan were this council of, we'll call them a council of elders. And there was a bear who would observe the meetings, who wanted to be a part, but who wasn't. And so there was music that would play at these meetings. And so the bear went to the humans back when humans lived under the surface and told them of how they could be invited to be in that council, or they could be invited to have a seat on that council. But the bear's condition was, when it's offered, that they make a condition of their acceptance of that offer, that the bear has to join as well. So the bear taught them how to play the song. And then they practiced it. And then the next time that the Wankantanka were convening, as the Thunderbird was flying over, they started to play the song. The Thunderbird was so impressed. That's when, she made an appearance and she blessed the drums, and she invited the chief of the humans, Tatanka, to be a part of the Wankantanka. And then, honoring his agreement with the bear also got invited. But because Vision Quest is here with this drum, there's something about the thing, because it's the drum that they were recognized for, and it's the drum that was blessed. And so now, if there's ever any ailment or any remedy, all they need to do is to steadily play the drum and they will be made better. Now, because it's Vision Quest, this is a 15 and a 6. 15 is devil energy. I mean, it's not devil energy. 15 is the position of the major arcana, the devil card, and the Rider-Waite-Smith, at least tarot. I'm pretty sure it's the same as both, but it may be different because some of them are different. Like you get Aeon instead of the world. I don't have that's something that I pick up from watching videos over the years on YouTube. I ain't got no top both decks. This Vision Quest makes it more personal, I would say. Because you go on a Vision Quest to get the information. It's all, oh my gosh, not the bear. Wilson the Refined Grizzly. Wilson the Refined Grizzly. Wilson approaches you like, I have, what do you call it? A lucrative business proposition for you. I think that lucrative word came up maybe yesterday. I was like, oh, I just have such a shady connotation with the word lucrative. It always sounds like a scheme. I feel like whenever I've heard it, that don't mean it's a scheme though. Forget what you heard. This is the real deal. Where's Wilson? Okay. So here's Wilson the Refined Grizzly, as I'm talking about the bear that approached the humans. I forgot about Wilson. But the thing about Wilson is, if we are of a mind to fear, we may see something in Wilson that isn't there. I feel like I almost said something like that, but I don't remember. Wilson is between the Wayfarer's bauble and the hardy outlander. I love this energy. Druids hold certain plants to be sacred and use their leaves and wood as a spellcasting focus. You're a born explorer, happiest forging your way through the untamed wilds. That's the flavor text between these two. I could see a druid being a hardy outlander. I can see that being something that the now this is the one that allowed us to search our library for a basic land card. And that was helping us find our way the last time I looked at these. Let's see. I'm sure these energies are so very similar. Hey Google, define wayfarer. Maybe. Hey Google, define wayfarer.
Here's the definition of wayfarer: literary. A person who travels on foot.
Oh, a person who travels on foot. There we got our hardy outlander traveling on foot. Up a tree, I guess. Is this Wilson's tree? Wilson is sitting up against the tree. Maybe the Heartlander is like observing, like, what is that bear doing? Drinking wine? What? Can I get a glass? I feel like that would probably be. I don't know anything about vision quests, but I could see someone like, yeah, I went on a vision quest and I saw a grizzly bear drinking wine in the forest, and I had a conversation with that bear, and that bear told me that if I play this specific song on a drum, I would be visited by a thunderbird who would whisk me off to greatness. Now, a lot of people, when the thunderbird appeared, they were like shocked. They were gooped, gagged, surprised, scared. It was probably very much so that, like, don't be afraid type energy. And you're like, okay. Look, there's one of the cards I was looking. I feel like every time I look for the wind card, there's been another time I went looking for the wind. I think I went looking for the wind and taming the wind. And it was like at the bottom or at the cut. I think it was at the bottom that time. It's at the cut this time. With the seer and the wind. Anyway. I think I might pull before and after magic as the harmonizing element. Maybe not. We'll see. Okay, I'll give this two more since I'm pulling before and after. Jumpers are not preferred. I'll give it a cut. We'll pull from the bottom of the deck. Bottom of the deck is Taming the Wind, number 55. And then we have, there's our first element. Taming the Wind, Water, and Standstill. 55, 61, 52. That's 7-7. What's that? 10-7-7 or 5-5-7-7? I feel like this is literally a channel. Taming the Wind and Standstill. I feel like it's a channel because the wind has no choice but to go through this opening. There'll be some of the wind that's like stopped, buffed, or like turned away by the opening, but it's like there's this great whooshing of wind through that opening. And that's why it's giving me a channel. Also, it's the Standstill. The Standstill is that place where we convene with the divine. Oh my gosh. This is almost giving me Naruto Akatsuki. How sometimes they would meet up, but it's like the meetup was virtual, and it's like, there's been a few shows that I've seen where it's like there's this meeting, but people like go into a space and then they go into a meditative state and then they almost inception collective dream, or they collective meditate into a space and have the meeting there. So it's almost like a meeting held in a non-physical space that can be accessed from anywhere, I would assume. Well, they maybe like you don't want to be disturbed. Maybe there are places that are more, this is on a ley line, and so it's easier to just tap right in. I don't know. Not to be like flippant or dismissive, of course. Just like I literally don't know. And then we have the circle. So, I feel like that's definitely like stand still, the circle, a bunch of people standing still in different parts of the world geographically, but they all end up in the middle for this meeting or whatever, this convening. And then so I'm not going to look at all of these, but the circle, the luminous warrior, and soul retrieval. Interesting. And then ghost dance is behind soul retrieval. Cool. Looking for the elements, please. Ooh, the council is with the Andean cross. Look, the journey and the council. So this is like the Thunderbird that was on its way to the council meeting when it overheard the people playing the drums, and then it blessed them with their presence. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm like headed to this place for this meeting, and I know some folks who would love to hear like what you're doing right now. Like, are you free? Are you down? It's like, yeah, duh. We've been waiting to be noticed. We're trying to get noticed or whatever, The Rainmaker is before that journey card again. And now we have 11. And then the Andean Cross and Thunder. The Andean Cross and Thunder. And then the moon is behind that thunder anyway. Okay, that's fine. Looking for the elements. Looking for the elements, please. I feel like I should have seen another one by now. Lightning is not an element. If we were to treat lightning as an element, it would be the hunter and completion. The child in many paths is outside of this. So before the hunter is the child, after completion is many paths. I kind of like that. Because it gives me an energy that's like, it's like literally many paths. After many paths is the sorcerer. So I kind of like that more. I feel like it illustrates it better. So on many paths is in between the hunter and the sorcerer. And the feeling was that like the child can become any of many things. There's no one path for the child to take. There is no one thing that child was necessarily to become, especially in a world of free will where the summation of our choices increases the possibility for certain outcomes and decreases the likelihood of others, just in terms of like what we'll choose, alone. And it feels like that. And it's like neither one is necessarily quote unquote right or wrong. But it is about taking that path to completion. Maybe. That feels a little loaded to me personally, but and I guess lightning could be related to the spark. Oh, it is that same blue of what was that? The light lantern of Revelation? Is that what it was? Oh my gosh, I don't think I caught that. There are two flaming fist officers, or flaming fist backgrounds. Ooh, not. I don't think they came out this way. The Lantern of Revealing. Oh, look at that. Lantern of Revealing, Irenicus's vile duplication and Chain Devil. Anyway, it reveals that. Anyway, it's that same blue. And you can see how like charged it is. It's giving me the lantern. Lightning in a bottle. That's a phase, right? But I didn't notice until I was going back through the cards that it's like Gale. And that lightning storm has a very that blue just feels like so similar to me. And like look at where it's coming from. Almost like the heart. Cool. Still have 3 more elements to go. So if I were treating magic as an element, 54. I thought we had a 45. What was 45? I feel like I looked at it. I mean, it's not like I haven't been through or seen most of the cards in this deck at some point. So I definitely would have seen a 45 before. But I guess I haven't seen it yet. Oh, no. Oh, I almost got ahead of myself. $45. I thought I was just looking at it, but that was 54. No, we haven't seen 45 yet. Okay. Maybe I saw it yesterday. I don't know. If we were taking magic, it is conveniently located in between the sweat lodge and the medicine wheel. So it's work one way and it's work the other way. There's no easy path to this magic. I said I might take it. We'll set it up here. I left lightning in the deck though. I guess I could have taken it. It's fine. This is how many cards I have left. This is how many cards we've been through. We still need 3 more elements. These last elements may be chained together. Okay, so we have the arrow, earth, and the jaguar. The jaguar. Oof. I guess I'm not surprised that the jaguar is with the element of earth. Or I could see the jaguar with fire. Then we have the spiral, wind, and the earth keeper. I kind of like that. After the earth keeper is fire. So these are chained together. The giveaway. Where is earth? Oh, earth is here. Oh, that's all of them. Water, earth, wind, and fire. The last 3 cards, it's the seer, the owl, and the rattle. The seer is number 45. The 45, that is the mirror of the 54. That was whatever that card was. Because it's back in the deck. Now I gotta go looking for the 54. What was the 54? How did I already forget? Okay, what was after that? What was the 54? How did I already forget? I was holding the card up. Maybe it's not. See, I love how I like break the flow all the time. And then I'm like, where was I going? What was I saying? What was that thought? It was around magic. I'm like, I'm looking through the cards. I'm like, I don't see it. I did put it on the table. Cool. I thought I put it back on the deck, but I left it out on the table. It was the Sweat Lodge. So the seer. The seer is the mirror to the Sweat Lodge. And earlier we saw the seer with the wind at the cut. Cool. What am I doing? I don't know. I never know. More often than not, I don't have a plan. Not having a plan is my plan. I was talking to somebody one day, and he said something, and he was like, "Oh, like if you do that, you'll undo your magic or something like that." I was like, "Undoing my magic is my magic." It's just Patrick being Patrick. I'm gonna put these here because I still want to get those other ones. Now these came out together. And I love that like the Earth Keeper is in between these two. Um, instead of like one element directly being next to another, there is an intermediary in this chain. So I just put all the cards on the table. I'm sorry. I should have showed you again. But so the order of the elements is water, earth, wind, and fire. So that's us going backwards through our zodiac wheel because it's Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. That's out of order because it's fire, earth, air, water. This is water, earth, air, fire. Yeah, this is the order. We just have to shift the frame. We have to do a frame shift. So if we started at water, because it's Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, or Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. So water, no, it's still out of order because it's water and then fire. I'm confusing myself. So water would be like, no, yeah, it's not in order. Because I think when I went to like, when I ended with fire and it was right next to water, my brain was like, oh, but the earth and the air would still be like switched. Now, let's see if I don't still have that. Speaking of notes, but these two are connected. So I wouldn't even be able to do that. I was going to go back to that picture to see like what the element of transcendence would be. But I can't even necessarily do that because the last two came out together. So anyway, around water, it's taming the wind and the standstill. With this being the element of water, it having a channeling energy isn't surprising. Water, the element of like relationship and connectivity. Relationship, not even necessarily in like person to person relationships way, but like this in relation to that spirit in relation to earth, cause in relation to effect, the preceding stimulus in relation to the reaction. But like with water being the element of connectivity and like spirituality, it being this channeling energy isn't surprising. It's interesting though that within the element of water, the channeling is actually happening in the wind now because we have brains that process things. It's again not too surprising. You know what I mean? If air is like information in general and the communication of that information. Now, Earth, we have the arrow and the jaguar. It's almost like Earth. The arrow's giving me like this pinpointing the jaguar energy. Which is why I wasn't surprised that the Earth Keeper came out with the spiral. The spiral being that, like, because the Jaguar came out with Earth, the spiral being the healing journey, ascension, self progress, development, maturation. Um, like, this could literally be ascending the shadow between Earth and wind because the arrow points straight up. So the arrow came before Earth, the spiral came before wind, and it's like the arrow goes straight up the spiral. Oh, it's even positioned above the spiral. And then again, because we have the jaguar with the Earth Keeper. It's almost like the limited resources ness of Earth naturally brings out the worst in people with that jaguar, which in turn means that it also naturally brings out the best in people. It brings out the worst in some people and the best in others because I mean, I guess it gets gray when we talk about communities because you could screw over somebody else to help your family, you know? So you can be selfless in one regard, but maybe not the best in the other. Not that everything necessarily has to be black and white, but I'm not surprised that the spiral came out with the Earth Keeper after the arrow came out with the Jaguar. But because the arrow is the arrow, that's what gave me that like ascending the shadow type energy. Just to learn to be better people, right? We experience challenge and difficulty, and we encounter others to have the opportunity to help each other, to ease each other's pain or suffering or whatever. But also, Alora said within our means and within our capacity, there are some things that are for the divine to work through us with. There are certain things that other people can't necessarily see us through. And that was a part of, I think that's what I ended up titling that video. No, that was the one before with the sundering, because Gail got lost to time or whatever. It was the part of the hero's journey that the hero has to make alone. But the hero still has, like, within them, in their hearts and in their minds, if their mind is capable at the time of great stress, um, they have all those experiences and all of the learning and camaraderie and community within them as they go through those. So even when they're not alone, even when they are alone, they're not alone. If someone has had the fortune of having others on their journey, not everyone has. 18 and 19 are right next to each other. That's the Earth Keeper and Fire. Then around Fire, we have the Earth Keeper and the Giveaway, which is interesting. I feel like this one may be the most difficult to read, but it's because the giveaway implies something higher. And I feel like after this is magic. After this is that element that is the progenitor of the primal basic four, or the summation of them, as they are all occupying the same space at the same time. And that element, the ether, the spirit, I pulled represented by magic. And around that is the sweat lodge and the medicine wheel. So the sweat lodge feels more like that ascending the shadow type part, but it's more like us being being able to be the better version of ourselves when it calls for it, when appropriate. You know what I mean? So, like, let's say that you experience life with not great boundaries, and so you get used and taken advantage of. And then you have the part where you learn to set boundaries with people. Now, maybe with people who don't respect your boundaries, you have to enforce them. But maybe with other people, you just have to make them aware. And once they're aware, then they respect them. And or they at the very least make conscious effort to respect them. Um, and so you don't necessarily have to enforce a boundary where you would be setting a boundary at the some end of whatever that spiral is. But it's like you can when you need to, but you don't necessarily have to be hyper vigilant. Hypervigilance often, more often than not, it seems like is a part of the process of finding a balance on that scale. You know what I mean? Now that feels like the sweat lodge, like the refining, the perfecting, the maturing. And then the medicine wheel feels like it's more so symbolic of these four elements themselves. So I guess if you could imagine the four elements as different pieces of yarn, the medicine wheel would be like twisting them all together. And then the sweat lodge would be like threading them through the needle. So now that when you sew whatever, you're sewing all four simultaneously at the same time in the same place again, into the same body of work at the same place at the same time. I just switched the sweat lodge and the medicine wheel. Or it's like it's given that kind of energy. And so that's us with our connection to the divine. That's us. This could also be, this is us in our power, because ascending the shadow, like that's what happens at the end of it. So that's us in our power, us connected to the all, to the divine. And I feel like this is why like those two came out separate, because the rest of this is almost like the process of us like coming into our power, coming into connection, and then the process of like combining and elevating it. That's the spiral: wind, the earth keeper, fire, and the giveaway. There could also be something else here with fire that I'm like literally just not like necessarily getting. But here's like Wing Lady doing this and the Earth Keeper, and then here's Wing Lady doing that and the giveaway. So it's like, take this here and put it there. And again, we had the arrow. This is, I guess, so this would be the second mention of verticality, because we have the arrow that is above the spiral. And then we have from left to right, take this here and put it up there. Are these the elements for now? Are these elements in general? I don't know. Patrick didn't specify. That's fine. So here's this. Now I wanted to pull one of these. North expansion. Ha! I love that. Take this here, put it there. The arrow ascending out of the spiral. North on the compass. There you go. Expansion. Cool. And then we have the seer down here with the wind. The seer is the mirror to the sweat lodge. And it was at the cut with wind. Oh. Hold up. Maybe I should have kept lightning. I think these eagle, there are some cards I'm noticing that don't have the in front of it. Like fire, jaguar, earth, wind, water, magic, taming the wind, standstill, as opposed to the giveaway, the earth keeper, the spiral, the arrow, the sweat lodge, and the medicine wheel. Oh, that's the sorcerer. Okay. Many paths, lightning, completion, upper world, lower world, middle world, wild woman, flow, beauty way, thunder, Pachamama, soul retrieval, luminous warrior. Cool. Those are the ones that don't have the in the title of the card. So now let's get love it. Oof. Oh, but the bottom of the deck is it's another number 15. 15 was at the beginning. Oh wait, I pulled it because it came out. I guess I didn't pull it because it didn't come out. Hold up. I talked about 15. What card was 15? I remember talking about it. So it came out early. Because I was like, 15 is the devil. That's devil energy. I was like, it's not devil energy. It's just the number. And the major arcana and tarot that the devil sits at. 51 is the staff. It's a shame we didn't get the sorcerer because the Wayfarer's Bible mentioned. Oh, it's the drum. The drum is 15. Oh, and then we have Earth. Cool. Earth number 15 is the bottom of the deck. The card that came out. Oh, that makes sense. Is gravity. This is big oof energy. I feel like this is also just like a recognition of how difficult it is to be on Earth. To be and the that we can often find here. Earth and rock. The bottom two. 18, 19, 20. Gravity. This is groundedness. But then you see like all these animals around her and the butterflies that are trying to pull her up. You see the monkey in the back cheering, like, you got this. All of this encouragement from the natural world, the planets. I'm going to read it. Oh, I was talking about gravity. Oops. When I was talking about the article and how it said that Mars has an effect on the deep ocean. I think it mentioned something about currents. 39, which is a 12. If you're curious, I guess. Gravity. Seek a grounded perspective. Gravity is the natural force that causes all things with mass and energy to be attracted to each other. This includes planets, galaxies, light, and yes, even apples. The serpent was here. I didn't mention it. The serpent was the only card between the jaguar and the spiral. I'm pretty sure. Because there was one card and then it got right back into it. There we go. The famous story about Isaac Newton and the apple actually did happen, but not in the way most people think. While there is no evidence of young Isaac being bumped on the head by a falling apple, he was sitting in the orchard and observed an apple falling from a tree. He noticed every apple fell the same way, straight down, not sideways or somehow else impeded, and he wondered why. This inspired him to formulate the law of universal gravitation, which states that every body in the universe is attracted to every other body with a force that is directly proportional to the product of their mass and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. His famous apple tree continues to grow at Woolsthorpe Manor. Where that at? Hey Google, where is Woolsthorpe Manor?
The address for the village of Stewart Manor is 120 Covert Avenue, Garden City, New York, 11530.
Not New York. Woolsthorpe. Woolsthorpe Manor. There we go. It's in England. I thought it might be. I was like, not me talking about trying to make my way back to London. Anyway, that's interesting. It's interesting that it's not necessarily exactly how the story was told. So, in the telling of the story, Sir Isaac Newton, was at the center of it. An apple fell on his head, and he theorized this grand universal principle. But in this alternate, if not at the very least, potentially true telling of the unfolding of events, he wasn't at the center of the story. But because he wasn't at the center of the story, he observed like every apple falls straight down. Like, you know, as if there must be, I guess, almost a magnet, right? Like if you have a magnet and then like something that's magnetic, it'll like go straight to the magnet. It won't like take some random pathway. See, this is taking me back to right here. No, yeah, right here. When I was like, if I took lightning as an element, then this is what it would be. It's taking me back here. It was completion, completion, lightning, and the hunter. The child was before completion, many paths, and the sorcerer was after the hunter. And I guess it sticks out to me because when I read the cards, it read like the potential of the child to be anything. But now it's like Sir Isaac Newton in gravity observed that every apple fell straight down, almost as if there were something like magnetic there. The paths aren't random. But something can be both not random and also open, not set in stone. Something can be both not random and not completely constrained. If I gave you a choice of 5 beverages, like I don't necessarily have to know your preferences, but if you only have 5 to choose from, you're going to choose one of those 5 or nothing. So there are 6 options. That's not random. It's not random if you pick something that I offer you. Now, if someone's like, I want to drink dragon's milk, don't have that in the fridge. We got apple juice, we got water, we got orange juice, grape juice, and pomegranate juice. Fresh out of dragon's milk. Sorry. Don't know what to tell you. So like it's not that random, but again, it doesn't necessarily have to be like this one thing. There is this attractive forces between bodies though. And it's interesting. I guess it's interesting that gravity is an attractive force and that there aren't repulsive gravitational forces like there are repulsive electric forces, right? If there's a large object and a small object, they'll both exert a gravity on each other that will pull them towards one another. Now the larger object will typically have a gravitational pull that's much stronger and will typically have the mass to at least somewhat survive impact. um, but I guess I don't know. It's interesting that the smaller body doesn't try to fight that pull and have like a negative gravitational effect where it'll like as this big one is trying to like eat it, it won't run away. It'll like run to be consumed. Maybe gravity is the will of the divine in us all coming back together at some point after the great spreading that was the Big Bang or whatever. Or not. um, Apple and Earth. Oh, and that's gravity on Earth. Because Earth is here with gravity, it's giving me a local energy. In that, like, it's not necessarily about how the gravitational effect of Saturn on the Earth is like how we are affected on the surface of Earth by the gravitational pull of Saturn. Like on the Earth, we're not even, or we don't necessarily consider as much the gravitational pull of the sun, which is interesting because at high noon, when the sun is directly overhead, there would be like a gravitational force that's pulling us up off of the surface of the earth and hurtling us straight towards the sun. But the gravitational pull of the earth is stronger in proximity, or the gravitational pull of the earth has a greater effect on us because we are on the surface and it keeps us grounded. It keeps us from hurtling every which way based on the movements of the planets. It's not like, oh, Jupiter is at its closest point to Earth right now, which means that 10% of the population is going to get swoop right to Jupiter. And then 5% to Saturn and 2% to Mars. And, we get divvied up between the planets in the solar system. Which is interesting as I'm talking about it that way because astrology, just like in general, but also because Earth doesn't appear unless you look at like a heliocentric chart. Earth isn't necessarily going to appear in the chart because it's where we are. And we look at everything outside of us and its effects relative to us. But again, that's non-Newtonian because the apple didn't fall on Newton's head. He observed the apples outside of him. And if we look at things based on how it affects us, then it's possible to not necessarily draw the right conclusion. Because what if Isaac Newton's theory of gravity was his head was an apple magnet because apples kept falling on top of his head. Our heads in general are apple magnets. If you put your head under a tree and there is an apple, it will fall and hit you on the head. That almost sounds like Murphy's Law. And then we have the spiral here. So, I get it. I see that. I see that. And yeah, I guess that is also the thing in gravity. I don't know what surface this person is on, but I think that's Earth right there. Maybe. Is that Earth right there? It's kind of looking like a blue marble with some green on it, maybe. This is a non Earth centric. When it comes to gravity, again, it's non Earth centric, which is just interesting. Now, let's get into the past, present, and future of it all. I'm going to give this one shuffle, one of these shuffles, one of those shuffles, and a cut. And then I'm going to pull from the bottom of the deck. Oops. So, again, the past, Six of Cups. The present, I think I'm going to do the Seven of Pentacles. No, I'm doing the Six of Pentacles because I like how it sits sort of in between both. And it's this exchange of things between the past and the future. So, the present is the Six of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords, the things that we don't see in the present moment, Eight of Swords. And then the future is the Three of Wands. And we got one from every suit, so that works for me. Oh, gosh. The number 15 is just like extra prevalent today for some reason. What I'm actually noticing on this, two things I'm noticing. The first thing I notice is these stairs. There's a flight of stairs between her and a flight of stairs behind him. I said between her. A flight of stairs behind her and a flight of stairs behind him. Also, I low-key, as a total aside, I feel like I've been able to speak more clearly, more easily now that Mercury isn't in Pisces anymore. Love that. So we have these staircases behind them, but also I noticed the skull and bones, giving me like this death and rebirth energy. But because they're chained here, it's almost like in their reborn phase, they're in the same place. So it's like they have to slip the chains either way. Like simply being reborn isn't enough to bring any change to the situation. Because again, we see their old selves decayed to skull and bones right beneath their feet. Also, in this particular depiction, they are like distracted. She's giving vanity, I guess, because of the mirror. He's giving easily distracted because of the pan flute. I don't know. They're distracted. Distractions. I feel like the word distractions came up yesterday. What did I use yesterday? Where did distractions come up yesterday? I don't remember. I feel like it came up yesterday. I don't remember where or how or why or when. Besides yesterday. The Devil, the Page of Swords, and the King of Wands. This is the bottom three, or top three from the bottom. Is this a prison break? So I'm looking at their face, and it's full of defiance today. The face on this Page of Swords is very defiant, and it's looking back at the devil. Oh, there you go. Like, haha, you thought you had me, foul creature. And then the devil is like, I don't know. He's like, I still got them. I don't know. And then it's headed towards this King of Wands that is awaiting the arrival of this Page of Swords. Now, what's interesting is, I'm pretty sure, see the wand that the king is holding, and then the fire on the tail of this, of the dude. And then there's also, the fire in the back. But like this fire is a lot more tame, question mark, maybe. This is one who is in control of their ego and desires and not controlled by their ego and desires. But also because it's on the wand, there is a certain magical property to it. There's a way that I can read this because of readings that I've done recently, or because of energies that have come to the forefront recently. This is the Jaguar. This is that ascending the shadow. It's right here. LOL. It's also right here. This is that, like, this is the ascended shadow, the ascended ego, to the point where it can be used to create, or it can be used as a tool in the box of the creation process, and the kit of the creation process. Again, rather than it being the source of what keeps one sort of imprisoned and not, going anywhere, regardless of how many. Again, this is also the spiral. Like, we can die and be reborn and die and be reborn and die and be reborn and still be chained to the same things. Like, we realize that we don't go anywhere, but also, like, those chains are loose AF. Because the chains are so loose, it's giving me the card. Oh, well, it's in the Diceology. I mentioned it sometimes. There's two of them. But mostly it's a well-crafted illusion, a contaminant in the breeze searching for an open eye. Like, the well-crafted illusion, from the outside, it's very, like, shoddy. From the outside, it's obvious. But it's an illusion that's crafted to what the mind already believes and what the eyes want to see and what the heart wants to feel. That's what makes it well crafted. It's well individualized. Sometimes so well individualized that anybody else on the outside could see that it's like non-substantial. Cool. Love that. Prison Break energy. Also, there was something else about this that I don't remember. I had it and then I lost it and then I almost had it and then I lost it again. That's fine. Let me remember the cards I'm looking for. Eight of Swords. This Seven of Wands energy is everywhere lately. I guess I shouldn't be surprised if I do a Pisces season. What energy is going to be here if I see the energy in that season, Also, we saw the Queen of Swords with the Tower earlier, and I made mention to, in the first reading with Venus and Pluto, it was the Queen of Swords, the Tower, and the Devil, all three of them. Here we see the Page of Swords that walks away from the Devil, and it's seen as some feat. Again, like, I'm not surprised that it manifests as the King of Wands, especially not as like a low vibrational King of Wands. Not the King of Wands that is, again, just like so focused on fulfilling its own desires that it can be not always the best. I feel like there's something that we don't see. There is an effect that is unseen, and the crow is there, so that there's an effect. Ooh, my mouse moved and I can't see myself. I was looking at my wait, what's on my desktop? Allow. On my laptop, I have the my Journey Buddy makes me a phone and laptop background that has my word of the year on it. So I use it. And my laptop is still on the allow of last year. So I was looking at myself, but if you're on a Windows at the very least, if you mouse over to the bottom right corner of your screen, it'll show your desktop. And that's what it did because my mouse was just chilling there. But the L, it's LLO. There is that iTunes? Yeah. My iTunes update that I've been declining since 2014. I can see the outline of a box. It's a clear box because, again, my desktop is being shown right now. I can take a picture of it, but it's fine. I'll take a picture of it. I'll just show you real quick. Why rely on me when I can just show you what I mean? What is that? I'm gonna just create a little box here. Y'all don't need to see my. I did a lot of business on this laptop. I got files on the desktop and everything. And I could crop it, but that's too much work. So I'm just do a little squiggle. I'm gonna do a little squiggle like that. Cool. Well, I guess that was fine. That would have been fine. It's fine. Oh well. So I'll look at that. So you see the box in the LLO? That's like iTunes. That's what iTunes looks like. That's how I knew. I was like, I looked at my things. I was like, yep, iTunes is there. What does LLO mean? I don't know. What is it? No, that was the Edgar Allan Poe tarot. I think it was the Sun card, Ten of Cups, and something else. It was one of the final cards in the Poe tarot that just came to my mind. Anyway, I feel like there's an unseen effect, force, and or influence that this is having. This is signaling something to the world at large, to the universe. And it's not that we don't necessarily see it. It's just that it's an invisible force. This is a manifestation. Oh, and then I guess we get those same sunset colors. This is a manifestation of taming the wind. Like there is some standstill, some stance that we take, something that we stand on energetically, like the standstill. And I guess the wind that blows. Before I was seeing it, how was I seeing it? Did it have a directionality? I guess I did it like that. I don't necessarily know if it had a directionality before, but now I'm seeing the directionality is like out. So it's this internal wind that gets pushed out of this, and then it affects the world around us in unseen ways. It's like when your aura or your energy or your good works or your reputation goes before you. Type stuff. That's what it's reading like. And again, it's like it doesn't have to mean that we're unaware of it. It's just not visible. Cool. Oh, and then so now we have that's a card of the present. So the present that we don't see, That's almost like literally what I was just saying. I love this. The present that we don't see is connected to the future, and it's the world and the Ace of Wands. So the world came in between the Knight of Swords and the Two of Wands. The world is connecting again the unseen past to the future. Our energy, our aura, our reputation goes before us and makes certain things more or less likely and or possible. Makes sense to me, at least. I also love that it's here with the Ace of Wands, just because I don't know, it's making me think of that King of Wands versus that Devil. Like us not necessarily being in a state of desirelessness, but us not being um, a servant to our desires. And also, hold up. I could have used the Six of Swords as a present card. Maybe not, actually. I take that back. I take that back. Hold on, let me see if I gotta put my phone back on the charger. Nope, it's fine. It's at 85%. It's 58 on the table. I feel like I saw 58. I don't remember. I don't remember what it was. I don't know if I was looking for it. This Two of Wands is interesting. In one hand, he holds the world, and the other hand, he holds the wand. I thought someone else was holding the world. I don't know if this is some kind of coherence energy. To me, this reads as coherence between the self and the divine, because we see our character holding the wand, and it's like the same wand, the same hand, the same way, mostly at the very least. Now the divine is holding it with the world in the other hand. The last time, one of the recent times we saw this Seven of Wands was the Dark Horse in the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. I'm pretty sure I've seen it recently in both the Vitruvian and Revelations edition. But in the Revelations edition, there's the guy, the divine energy with the like sun behind him, like up in the corner. Interesting. Oh wait, I gotta put it down this way because they're connected. There we go. So these are actually complete energies that are just next to each other. There's no linking card here. Like there was down here. No, what's interesting is though, I guess it's interesting that it's all of them. Wind, earth, keeper, fire. Because this is fire and air that came out with the earth keeper sort of bridging them. Now, I picked a card of every suit. So the air of the present is right next to the fire of the future. And they came out linked and connected. They came out linked and connected last in the mystical shaman oracle cards, but they came out adjacent and first in the tarot. I'm using the Astro Matrix tarot, by the way, if anyone was curious. So now I'm looking for the Six of Cups as the past and the Six of Pentacles as the present. Oh, here's our Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles is the Page of Cups and the Hierophant. Love, love, love this Hierophant energy. Hierophants, they can get a little iffy sometimes. There's the Page of Cups. Oh, never mind. That was water. It's interesting that the Page of Cups came out with the Hierophant. It's interesting that it's the Page, and the Page of Swords came out with the Devil. It's interesting that pages are coming out with the Hierophant and the Devil just because it has this vibe where the energies are more complex than we think they are. The energies are more complex than they think we are. Oh, maybe that is also true. The energies are more complex than they think we are. The energies are also more complex than we think they are. But yeah, because that's what it means to think that they are less complex than they actually are. We wouldn't think that if we knew that they were more complex. You know what I mean? Well, it's possible, but it's even more. And so, okay, let me not get lost in the semantics. Now, this could also be like us being the fish in the cup of the divine that the divine is marveling at. But it feels like there's something in the present moment, because this is also the present. And this is the seen and the witness, this is the observed present. There's something. Oh my gosh, I saw these IRL. I saw Shiva Lingams in real life. It's fine anyway, regardless. um, it's like realizing that the divine is even more of whatever than we think it is, or than we knew it to be. I don't know if it's unfolding more, if it's revealing more. Also, we see people in the presence of the divine in this card. And in this card, in this particular illustration, this is people in the presence of the actual divine. Like, this is a deity. This isn't some guy with a robe and a hat. This is like the divine that they are in the presence of. I'm not surprised because, again, we have this lantern of revealing. And it's that, like, that's the spark of the divine that we're created in the image of. So I've talked about it more often in the past, probably week than I have. I feel like in the past year or 2 years, the two-faced journey of the hermit. What I see as a two-faced journey of the hermit. There's the part of the hermit's journey where they take the light of the Hierophant inside. There is a guru, there is a mentor, there is a pastor, a preacher, anyone that sits in a hierophantic sort of position as a liaison between us and the divine, or between us and someone or something more powerful. Like, under their tutelage, we go on some level of self-exploration. And there are certain things that are revealed. But then at some point, when the hermit trades the light of the Hierophant for the light of the divine that lives within the hermit, now the rest is illuminated. And that is the lantern of revealing. It illuminates and reveals everything within the self that the Hierophant isn't designed to do. Because it's between you and the divine. And this is the blossoming of that connection because it's the Page of Cups. So it could be newly in the bosom of the divine and freshly out of the clutches of devil energy. And again, I love it that in this deck, we see them again, not in front of a person wearing a robe and a hat, but in front of an actual deity, in front of a face or a manifestation of the divine. Love that. That's like the divine IRL in my life and not some like hypothetical thing that we like read about or like know of, like actual interaction. And oh my gosh. Now I'm looking for the Six of Cups for the past. Yes. Now what's interesting is I'm still looking for the Six of Cups. I love that the past is in the past. There's quite some distance. The unseen present was right next to the future. And then we have the seen present, and then some space from that is the past. The past is the Ten of Pentacles, the Six of Cups, and the Knight of Wands. Because the Knight of Wands is heading away from the Ten of Pentacles, it's almost reading as almost like a stability, but a boredom in it. We have the Seven of Pentacles here, and then the Moon. After the Moon is the Ace of Pentacles. This is the other card that I was contemplating using as the present, because it's efforts that are presently, it's work that is presently done to cultivate a future. Now, it's interesting that the Eight of Swords energy is literally the same, but it's not in a physical way necessarily. So if I would have used this, it would have been the Knight of Wands, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Moon. Under the Ace of Pentacles is the Hangman. Before the Ten of Pentacles is the Star. And then on the other side of that is the King of Cups. King of Cups, the Star, if you're curious. Top of the deck is the Two of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles. That is every night. Where's the Knight of Cups? Every night except the Knight of Cups. Knight of Swords, Knight of Wands, Knight of Pentacles. Do we gotta go looking for them? I guess I am. I probably already passed them, I would imagine. Ooh, the Emperor is in between the Ace of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. Love it. Look at that. Oh, snap. But that's Mars. I'm not surprised. Four of Wands, the Tower. Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups, the Emperor, the Wheel of Fortune, and well, the Seven of Swords on the other side. That's before the Wheel of Fortune. That's before the turning of the wheel. In the past, it was Seven of Swords. But now it's Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups, Four of Wands, the Tower. You're like, what? Is that the same Emperor energy? Yes, it is. Can you believe? I don't know why I'm putting these back instead of just looking through it, but that's what I'm doing. Here's the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is in between Judgment and the Nine of Cups. Judgment is in between the Knight of Cups and the Nine of Cups. Yeah. Okay. The Knight of Cups is in between, or was it this way? Because I feel like I picked it up like this. I just held it like this. On the other side is the Eight of Cups, okay? And on the other side is the Six of Wands. Eight of Cups in two victory. Nine of Cups, there you go. The past being the Ten of Pentacles is interesting. Maybe the past being the Ten of Pentacles It just speaks to the way that things were. Now, when I showed these cards, it had a different directionality. When I showed these, I showed them like this, with the Knight of Pentacles heading away from the Ten of Pentacles, but the Knight of Wands heading away from the Ten of Pentacles in the past. But when I laid them on the table, I laid them like this. So it's the card that was before, and then the card, and then the card after. So it's actually heading towards the Ten of Pentacles. Now, maybe this in and of itself is symbolic of something. So for the person who is well established in their career or well known and very successful at one thing, that is getting the itch, the drive, the urge, the intuitive nudge, the discerning hit to pursue something else, there could be the fear of, am I going to be as successful? And be like, yeah. If it resonates, lol. But I think this could also be like the Ten of Pentacles, more than anything, is about the generational, it's about things handed down across generations. Typically, it's like multi generational wealth and stuff like that. But here, it's almost like just like the way that the world was, or the way that the world is, from generation to generation to generation to generation. And then the Knight of Wands heading out of that is um, it's not being satiated or satisfied by the way things are. Now it's interesting that the wand of the Knight of Wands is more fiery than the wand of the King of Wands. I mean, I guess it isn't if you know the Knight of Wands. But that's also why in this King of Wands, it's like it's more honed. It's more refined here than it is sort of here. Also in the King of Wands, we see it. No, we see it. Well, yeah. Maybe not actually. Oh, yeah, maybe. It's arguable. I'm looking at the green on the Wands. I think there is a little bit more on the King of Wands. But, not that the Knight of Wands doesn't already have its own, things going for it, I guess. I don't have to compare them. But that can also be the change maker. We did see the Tower with that Emperor. It was what? Tower, Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups, the Emperor, the Wheel of Fortune. This could also be like with that Ten of Wands, with the Knight of Wands heading from one Ten of Pentacles towards another Ten of Pentacles. It could be, I think I talked about that earlier. It could be a like going from what's good for me and what's good for mine to a what's good for all. I don't remember where I said that, but I know I said it. Don't remember why. I think I was talking about how like someone can be like really great for their family, but like not that great to others. I feel like now the Six of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. And it's interesting that gravity is here. So overall, this would be, I mentioned fine tuning somewhere. Oh, up here. The medicine wheel being uh, spinning, combining the four uh, threads of the individual elements, and then you thread it through the needle at the sweat lodge, and then you start to sew with it. Um, that's that like refining. Also, I use that when talking about the shadow, ascending the shadow, refining the ego. That's the King of Wands, a refined ego. One who can be at times guided by their desires, but at the same time, not consumed by them. Like the King of Wands, a healthy King of Wands, especially, won't transgress against another just because they really want something. Now, it's easy for the King of Wands to be so hyper fixated on what it wants, and the Knight of Wands, especially in the way of a less mature King of Wands, to be so focused on or fixated with what one wants that they don't necessarily have the bandwidth or capacity to consider how it may impact others. And of course, there's a difference between like us making choices and decisions that can impact others versus us following what is for us to follow and being less available for like this isn't like, oh, you're so selfish because you don't want to do everything that I want to do when I want you to do it type energy. This is like, it's like literally time for you to grow or develop in whatever way is for you to grow and develop. Like, it's also the Ten of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, Ten of Pentacles. It's when like someone comes of age and they go explore the world, or they seek out opportunities or experiences outside of their norm. It's like coming of age, it's maturing. Sometimes you go back. Sometimes you bring what you learned back to the village so that the village can grow. Sometimes you bring your village to the world so that your village can grow in that way, I guess. But this energy up here is real interesting. The Knight of Swords. No, it was the Knight of Swords. I got these backwards. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was Seven of Wands, Eight of Swords, Knight of Swords, and then the World, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Now I'm just fiddling with the cards. That's really interesting to me. And it's almost like that's where the majority of our creative potential lies. The majority of our creative potential lies in the energy that we put out into the world non-consciously. It's like your aura, your presence, your vibe makes way for you. You could call it karma, honestly. Good karma will bring about good things. Not the best karma may bring about some experiences to ascend that shadow and to learn to be a better person. With the arrow, the jaguar, the spiral, and the earthkeeper, like with all of this over here, refining the shadow. I mean, but again, Six of Wands left at the bottom of the deck. With the Eight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups, and Judgment, and the Nine of Cups. I mean, I literally just went looking for these, so they just like ended up there. All right, I'm gonna shuffle this up and get one quick Ace of Swords now at the bottom. Final overall. I don't have an element. I could look before and after the Wheel of Fortune. If the magic is the ether to the four elements, what is there a card of timelessness? I guess the world, as in like the beginning and the end. All right. Before and after the world, not looking at anything else. Because we got it in this. Who was the Nine of Pentacles is like making itself known. I could do the High Priestess. I already said the world. I'm going looking for the world. The High Priestess would have been a good one, though. The Lovers, the Emperor, the Ace of Cups. Love it. Oh. Is this going to be at the top of the deck? The world is on the table. The world is already on the table. The world is in between the Knight of Swords and the Two of Wands. Already on the table. I'm going to give this one more shuffle. I'm going to look before and after the High Priestess. I didn't even catch that. I go through the whole deck and I'm like, where's the world? Hello? On the table? Duh. It's also interesting how many times we've seen Earth depicted here. Earth is on the Earth Keeper there. Earth is in gravity here. Earth is literally the bottom of the deck of the Elemental Oracle. And then we see it as the card and in the hand on the Two of Wands. High Priestess. Okay. I was like, I should have looked for the High Priestess. That was my cue to take it. All right, High Priestess, where are you at? I think I just kind of did these cards a little bit. All right, P. Oh no. This Emperor is in some very interesting positions. Oh, Justice and the Eight of Wands. That's where the High Priestess is. We are about to have full moon Libra lunar eclipse. Hey, Ollie. Yep, I was like, should have went with the High Priestess. She is the timeless. What I like about this High Priestess is that her toe, I don't know if her toe is making ripples on the water, but I don't know if it's necessarily in the water. Also, she's holding an apple. I mean, okay, maybe it's a pomegranate. It should be a pomegranate, but it's looking like an apple. The apple from Sir Isaac Newton. The High Priestess is the one that was causing the apples to fall. She was like, I wonder if Isaac will notice this. Also, she's like, is that a cigarette? No, maybe that's a pen. I'm like, is that a cigarette behind the scroll? It also extends on the other side. So it's like she's pulling out the scroll from that veil with like a pen, ready to transcribe something. The energy of the High Priestess is interesting in this deck because it almost exudes an energy like justice. which I think justice also sits between two pillars. Maybe not. Oh, justice is literally right here. And she isn't in this deck, sitting between two pillars. But her energy to me almost reads like justice in this deck. And we got these crescent moons and then the Eight of Wands. This is the year of karma. That's what the Rare Gazelle said. And when she said that, I was like, girl, I believe it. Because the way these dragons was coming out for the year of the dragon, I'm like, ooh. That's also like another reason why it's like there may be lessons that we're going through right now. And sometimes it's for us to extend, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the divine is working on, and it's not that we shouldn't be there in support of one another, but it's to know what we can and what we can't do for one another, or what we can and what we can't do specifically to us. And that's that Alora. Yeah, I noticed the moons. Well, I noticed it more because the moon here, I noticed their headdresses. And then on her headdress, it's more shaped like a moon, a crescent moon. And then there's like this crescent moon and that crescent moon. And the one on her head is shaped like the one on the top of the blade. And then there's that little one. And then I saw that one. And I was like, that's almost a moon. Oh, snap. Well, it's interesting that justice has the heart and the feathers on her chain. I mean, there's like chains on the scales. And I was like, well, where do they connect? It almost looks like they're like connected to her headdress. But then when I was following the chains, it made me think of devil energy. It made me think of the devil card. How, okay. Oh, I shuffled the deck. I was like, hello? It was at the bottom before. I like they're both chained to the post that he's sitting on. Justice and the Eight of Swords. Justice and the Eight of Wands. Cool. Alrighty. I think that's it. I'm gonna get final cards. And did I end this? And it's still fairly early enough that I can get plenty of sleep tonight. I really, 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 really need to have a think about what I'm gonna do these next 2 weeks because I want to do something. I want to do something. I'm calling my friend when I wake up. Shoot. I'm looking at flights, get my room ready. Not me being like 8 days is not long enough. Ooh. And it is around spring break time, so things won't necessarily be any more cheap, any more affordable for this season. Also, there's some other things that I could do, which I think would be really cool. And I think I might try to do them. Honestly, if I would have done the research or if I would have put in the efforts that I've been thinking of putting in, it would probably at the very least be a little easier to be like, boom, 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 this is what I want to do. But it's not so late or so drastically negatively impactful that I can't still. Not the high priestess trying to slink off the table. She's like, okay, you can put me back now. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll put you back too. High priestess was like, before you try to get a final card from the mystical shaman oracle cards, put me back in the deck. I'm like, okay, girl. What's the pig secret? The pork chop. That's the joke that Siri told yesterday. Not Siri, sorry, Google. I asked, was it Alexa? Or was it Siri? I think I had like my iPhone or something. And I was like, hey Siri. And my Google Assistant was like, I'm not Siri, but maybe I can help. Like, I know you listen because I turn on Hey Google. But can you be a little less obvious?
I wish I understood. You could try again.
Google's like, I don't know what it means to be less obvious, girl. This is what you told me to do, okay? And I'm doing it. Okay. Oh, I feel like I got a little curve in these now. Maybe. I like to keep my decks as like not bent as I possibly can. Just because like when they curl or bend too much, I don't know. It kind of like it's fine, but I don't know. I'm just like, oh. Okay. Ooh, discipline time. Not with all those clocks. Time has been interesting. All right, Elemental Oracle. Last together. Ooh. The card of voice came out. Speaking your word, number 25. It's interesting because voice is giving me Vision Quest vibes. If you remember the Vision Quest card. Interesting. The bottom of the deck is East, beginnings. Speak your word. This is interesting to me because this is giving me vibes of the Two of Wands and the Ace of Wands, and how it's like as the character and the Two of Wands is holding the wand, that's the same hand of the divine that's holding the wand. So it's given that, I think I call it resonance between the self and the creator. Because word, it's like in the beginning, God said, let there be light, and there was light. Speak your word. This is making me think of a dream I had. And this is a 7. 25 is a 7. Cool. Yeah, that's what it's given me. But again, it's given me that Vision Quest energy. The Vision Quest and the drum, where it's like, so, and here's another instrument. It's the trumpet or a phonogram. I forget what those are called. The record player. or the trumpet. But just like in Vision Quest and the drum, it's like the Vision Quest will lead you to the thing that you do to get the attention of the divine, to get you a seat on the council, to put you more in resonance with the divine in those unseen ways. Maybe there are like degrees of harmony and disharmony um, in terms of what we effortlessly attract to us. Gravity, magnetism. It's interesting. I love that it's gravity and not magnetism, though. So basically, that's what I was going to say. Um, there could be, like, if this is everything that's on the table and I were to like grab it in the middle and try to like pull it all up, one of those would be it's about increasing our spiritual mass so that we'll have a bigger gravitational pull, so that we'll be more able to seamlessly, naturally attract to us those opportunities and those things that we do want. That's how we are unseeingly creating the future that is coming. And like literally the world was between them. So I guess not like linking them. But I think that's also why that Seven of Wands is so important, though. Like the Seven of Wands is taking a position of energetic dominance, but it's like it's standing in one's own spiritual gravitas. And that conviction or steadfastness or standstillness is what pulls others. It's like the sun in the center of our solar system that has the planets orbiting around it. And as the planets orbit around the sun, they exert forces on each other, but there is no there is no planet powerful enough to knock the sun out of its orbit. Like every planet is a moon compared to the sun or whatever, anyway. Oh no. Sorry for your loss. I hope you, whatever comforts and like presence you need in this time of grief. I know, excuse me, one of my friends, yeah, loss is kind of something I'm seeing, but also like births. I don't know, anyway, as an aside. Sorry to hear about that, Janelle. So yeah, this is giving me that vision quest energy. And it's almost, oh, I guess it didn't say. It's almost as if, I guess I'll call him Wilson because I don't remember his name. The bear that approached the chief of the humans to teach them the song to play on the drum to get the attention of the Wakantanga to be invited. It's almost as if the bear comes through a vision quest rather than literally showing up. And maybe that's because, like, it's when people lived beneath the surface of the earth, and that's where the bear met them. So there is some place beneath the surface where we meet with this one who was an observation. Observation was also like a very thin thread that kind of ran throughout this. Um, but the bear who is an observation comes through spiritual quest and through vision, through quest, through intuition. We make changes or efforts in our real lives that attract the attention of the divine. And then we're blessed in that way. So if the voice is the thing that attracts the divine, the voice is the thing that will be blessed. If it's the drum will be blessed. If it's whatever else, that whatever else will be blessed. And then that is the Hierophant that came out. They're in the presence of the divine instead of being in the presence of someone who represents the divine, I guess. And then, yeah, beginnings. That's that page of Cups energy that was with the Hierophant. It's just like a whole new world. And I would sing, but I won't sing. Excuse me. My number one fan was talking about me the other day. I just looked at her. Tree of Life and the Seer. The Tree of Life is number 58. I had to think of numbers for a second. Oh, look, there's the Vision Quest. If you forgot what the Vision Quest looked like. The Tree of Life and the Vision Quest. Okay. Ooh. Immediately, the upper world. We saw the upper world. Yes, we saw it earlier today. The upper world was with the medicine wheel yesterday. And it's interesting because the medicine wheel came out today on one side of magic, which is the ether. On the other side of the medicine wheel was the sweat lodge. Bottom of the deck is the circle. The upper world and the sucker. The upper world and the circle giving me, that was the energy of the standstill. Why was it a gathering though? I think it's because the circle was behind the standstill and the council was behind that. Those who go into a certain meditative state, and in that meditative state, there is this convening that happens. This convening in the upper world, I guess. And then the spiral is under the circle, if you're curious. And the council is behind the spiral because, of course, it is. And then the jaguar is behind that council, by the way. The upper world. Y'all remember that as above, so above mystery? I wonder if the as above, so above accounts for that resonance. And it's a resonance that's unspoken. It's a resonance that is the result of integrity and where we stand, how we stand, and how we hold the line. Or where we stand, why we stand, and how we hold the line. Just to use different question words. All right. Now, Knight of Cups with the Four of Swords. Knight of Cups might be like, oof. Have you tried living on Earth with an open heart? Girl, things get rough down there. Immediately, the Queen of Wands comes out. I saw the Queen of Wands when I was going through the deck. I can't remember where she was, but I made note of her because we saw the King of Wands. We see her back, black cat. So like this black cat, this is the refined jaguar. This would be like this black cat can shift shape and become that like ferocious jaguar that we just saw. Did I tell y'all that the jaguar was down there? The council, or the circle, the spiral, the council, the jaguar. Yeah, I did point it out. There it is. That's the same jaguar. Just like the King of Wands had refined his ego. this Queen of Wands has refined her shadow, ascended her shadow, and that's her, the source of her magic. This is interesting because that was literally something very similar came out the other day, if it wasn't yesterday, when I talked about the dream that I had. Oh, it's when I pulled those cards with the sacrifice. Because I was like, well, what are we told to sacrifice? And what are we actually sacrificing when we do that? We were told to sacrifice the waters of the lower world. And what we were actually sacrificing was what were we actually sacrificing? I don't remember. The standstill. We were actually sacrificing the standstill and the serpent. And then we saw the medicine wheel. The serpent is a part of the medicine wheel. That was the goat that came out. That was like annoying, but the goat that got us out of Talaria before the sundering happens, before we're stuck in this time loop, this flooding that stretches, this drowning that stretches towards infinity. There's also been a lot of drowning messages. Like every story in the mythology, that card in the Sunder, the flavor text of Sunder, I don't like my experience is my experience right now, as it always is. So I'm not sure if there's a collective feeling of drowning. But I guess we could be drowning in different things. But yeah, the Queen of Wands, through her refined ascended shadow, is able to work her light to be the source of what these sunflowers depend on. She literally creates magic on Earth. Probably the same magic that we saw with the Two of Wands and the Ace of Wands next to the world. But it would be like the beginnings of it. Because the Page of Cups, that was with the Hierophant. In the present, also in the present. Justice and the Eight of Wands. I was going to say it's interesting that on the seen side of the present, we can feel that we're in the presence of the divine, or that our relationship is growing with the divine or deepening in some way, where the divine is becoming vastly so much more than it was before. But behind the scenes, maybe that goes all the way back to the beginning with the Rainmaker and the Sorcerer, the non manipulative sorcerer, just like the sorcerer that knows the why versus the Rainmaker that only knows the how or the what. But either way, but then that would also be drum and that other card. I need to go. It's starting to slip, but it was like it would be a very similar energy. She would be like the Rainmaker sorcerer because she can make these things grow because of this. And it's her, it's because that is one of the things that she strings together to feed through the needle. But she does it again in a way that is refined. And that's why it's almost like there are degrees. And that's where it can get a little complex and complicated. Where it's like, we're perfect as we are. We're what, fearfully, made and created. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that there aren't ways for us to improve. Like, we don't have to judge ourselves, condemn ourselves, and feel like we're any less than or lower than. We don't have to make these large, sweeping, drastic changes. Like, it is for us to accept who we are, but at the same time, it's for us to be a better version of us. And we do that as we become more and more and more authentic, as we exercise IRL in real life and with others more and more and more. The things that we learn, again, it's like the hypervigilance step, because there's a difference between setting boundaries and enforcing boundaries. And first, we should set them and then we should enforce them. Depending on what the boundary is, there are some things that are like generally accepted boundaries that we shouldn't cross, like we shouldn't transgress against another in those ways. But at first, we should set a boundary, because if someone doesn't know that it's a boundary of ours, then they don't know. But after they're made aware, or after we are made aware, like, those boundaries should be honored. And now, when we enforce a boundary, it may come with a certain degree of intensity that's different than just like, hey, I know we're just getting to know each other. Just so you know, this is a boundary and I'm communicating it to you right now. I may communicate it this nicely one more time, but I will be enforcing this boundary. And you will respect it one way or another. But like, you don't have to jump there. And that's almost like the refining, that's the honing, that's the tempering of that flame, because you don't necessarily want to burn everybody, right? And it's something that we grow more and more and more and more and more into. It's all a part of the journey, all a part of the phase. Now, what's interesting is that the magician is at the bottom of the deck. And it's interesting because I didn't go pulling before and after the magician, even though I've intentionally looked at the four elements, or five, and utilized the four elements. So I guess I went looking for the high priestess at the end, but we didn't look for the magician, okay? But the magician shows up at the bottom of the deck anyway. And his primary tool, in a lot of decks it seems, is the wand. The same wand. Oh, snap. Is he literally Gale? Gale that's sitting on the top of the deck, because I just looked at it. Oh, there you go. You see the lightning? You see Gale. We also had that same lightning in the Lantern of Revealing. Now, what was before and after lightning? I don't remember. I do remember. It was completion and the hunter. Before completion was the child. After the hunter was many paths, and then the sorcerer. There were many paths for that child. It's almost like there are many paths, but there is one true path. And I only say that because there are many paths within our own lives. There can be one path that has many twists and turns. So it's possible for us to do one thing over here, another thing over here, and another thing completely off screen. And maybe sometimes we can feel like, oh, I wasted my time over here, or I wasted my time over there, or I'm never going to use this again. But it's possible that we reach a point at some time, or we reach a time at some point where we see how it all connects, where we can pull from here and off screen and everywhere else. So even though from our own experience at that point in time, in that moment, the Isaac Newton, who's Apple head magnet dude, like, then we reach that point where we get some distance and we can see it in the grander scheme of like, oh, like, in a certain way, it kind of all was one path. Because as disjointed as it may have seemed at those times, now I can realize that all of those experiences together make me me. You know what I mean? And that's like always the case at any point along the journey. So, or at the very least, they have the potential to influence us, our choices, decisions, and our behaviors. So that's why it's like there's one ultimate path, even though there are many paths, because within our incarnation, as long as we're living this life, it's all on our journey. It's all on our path because we, choose for it to be or because it is. So anyway, dims the cards. Also, like compared to Gale, this is like again, it's almost giving me like Page of Wands, Page of Cups in the Hierophant because it's like a little bit of lightning and it's mostly kind of sort of generated by this Van der Graaf machine. What's it called? Van der Graaf? Is that the Vandergrift? Vandergrift. I don't know. No. There's a word for Pennsylvania. No, thank you. I forget what this is called. I wonder if I Google it. Static electricity ball. Now, can I get the name, please? I'm seeing them, but I'm not getting the name. What is a static electricity? A plasma ball, plasma globe, or plasma lamp? That's not what I'm talking about. Oh, what happens if you break it? Oh, it will stop working. That's so anticlimactic. It's not going to explode or set fire to your face or anything. It's just got some noble gases in it. It's essentially harmless unless you rub the broken glass on yourself. So that's it. These have a word. There's a word for these machines. It's not just a plasma ball. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I'm glad to see the magician here because we did go looking for all the elements. And now it's like through this gives me somewhere to go. Because let's see. Wow, don't tell me it's gone. Where is it? Did I erase it? Did I delete it? It's fine because I have it on the community page. I will find it right now. Oh, I could pull it up on my laptop and then screen share it. I still need to go back and watch that other one. Here it is. This one. So this would be Transcendent Fire. Transcendent Fire is the last step on the ladder if we go through the ladder in zodiac order. And it's Transcendent Fire because here in the upper world, the fire connects to the circle. And then down here, the lightning connects the sword, the pinnacle, and the cup through the conductive body of Sir Nikola Tesla. So that's why fire would be the transcendent element. And it's literally the last. Oh, wow. Oh, this is the first and last step. Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands. Ace of Cups has been floating around different elements today. First, it was with the Ace of Swords. Now it's with this Ace of Wands. Or maybe this just like, this speaks to the level of connection and the level of compassion and everything else that's required with this Ace of Wands. And fire in that way, especially with the Magician, can be one of the trickiest elements to manage and work with. Because again, it's so easy for us as humans to become servants to our desires. You know? And again, it's almost given that shadow of the Knight of Wands, shadow of the King of Wands, when we become so focused on our desires that we transgress against one another and ourselves. So anyway, that's what I've got. Yeah, and even so, I guess that standstill energy is going to get like smaller and smaller. And I would assume that the standstill gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where it's almost like you have a tremendous force coming out of here. Sorry. You have a tremendous force coming out of a smaller aperture rather than, you know, a force coming out of a bigger one. It's like, again, it's like fine tunes it, it hones it. It's that, the spinning of the threads together. So, anyway, that was today, apparently. Who knows what's going to happen? I guess Mars is about to join the Piscean fray. It'll be Mars, Venus, the Sun, Neptune, and Saturn, all in Pisces. And I'm just like, whoa, wow, what? Like, I knew this Pisces season would have surprises, but wow, it's going to carry me in the Aries season. I really need to find something to do. All right, it's fine. I'll worry about that me stuff later. And I am actually going to do something. I don't know. I'm feeling the fire lately. Yesterday, I was like, tomorrow, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to reduce my sugar intake. I've been eating so much sugar lately. I feel like I go through periods, though. I can cut out sugar fairly easily. But when I go back, I just like way too much. It's fine. But then today, that drive in another area of my life is like, okay. So yes, I hope you all have an amazing whatever. Whenever you see this, I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Emphasis on alignment, emphasis on acting, emphasis on you, and emphasis on your reality, because you're the one that has to live it. Or not, I guess. And I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way you find, I hope that whatever is for you to gain or grasp, you do. And I hope you would trust of your intuition and clarity in your discernment. There you go. And a building and a fine tuning and a honing of that discernment. And until next time, I guess I will catch y'all later. Bye bye.